Okay, so today we're going to be doing a master study from Andrew Loomis, and the head we're going to be drawing is on page 40 of the Loomis book. So I started out by drawing a circle very lightly, and then I put in the center line, and then measured out the brow, nose, and chin line. So once I marked out the overall proportion, I start lightly ghosting in the features. With this head, despite it having a slight upward tilt, the forehead, nose, and chin area are all the same height, so that's something to notice. And I'm using an HB pencil to lightly sketch in the lay-in. And it looks almost like I'm drawing a skull, and in some way I am, because I'm using the landmark of the skull to help guide me. And this is why it's important to know your anatomy, because you can really use that knowledge to help you navigate the head. A lot of beginning art students wonder why you need to learn how to draw anatomy or the skull in order to learn how to draw portraits, because you don't really see all those things in the final drawing. However, that knowledge really helps you in the lay-in process to help make your portrait more accurate, and really the lay-in is the most important aspect of a drawing. That's the most difficult part, and that's the part that requires the most knowledge to get right. Okay, so now I'm starting to block in the eyes. And notice that I'm not going in and drawing the eyes right away. I back into it. So I start with the creases around the eye, the shape of the eye socket, and putting in these lines first will help me to gauge how large to draw the eye. Because if I go in and draw the eye right away, I might get tunnel vision and just sort of make it too big or too small. These eyes have a sort of piercing ethereal look to it, and so to capture that, rather than filling in the pupil or the iris, I'm just going to draw in a small incomplete circle for the pupil and leave most of the iris unrendered. The head has a slight up tilt, so we're going to see a little bit of the bottom of the nose. And as I'm drawing, I'm constantly checking the angles and alignments of everything that I'm drawing to make sure that I'm on the right track. It's a little misleading to watch a sped up drawing like this because you're not seeing all the little pauses that I'm taking to reassess the drawing, because I find that when I get lazy and I don't pause frequently and reassess and judge and measure and make sure that my lines are accurate, if I don't do that frequently, I find that my drawings will tend to be noticeably worse than if I were more diligent about spotting mistakes. Alright, so now on to the rendering. I can start filling in the eyebrows and darkening some of the lines. Again, it's important to add in line weight variation. I feel like this is one of the key secret weapons to making your drawing look better, is that line weight variation. It adds such an interest to the drawing. Here I'm using a darker 4B pencil to darken some of the line segments even more to, again, increase that line weight variation. And I'll just come in and add some light tones to the darker areas. This will help me to get a better read for the dimensionality of the drawing so that I could know where I need to shade further. In this drawing, the lighting is coming from the top and is sort of hitting the center of the face. So most of the shadow will be to the sides and on the bottom. So now I can come in with the HB pencil again and add in some light hatching. This will serve to soften the transition between the shadows a little bit better. And also I'm testing out how I want to apply the hatching for the rest of the drawing. If I do it with a light pencil, even if I make a mistake, it won't be as big a deal. I'm taking inspiration from the Loomis drawing, but also I'm going to be adding quite a bit of hatching of my own. One of the really great things about doing a master study like this is that you almost get to bypass years of drawing practice and create a drawing that is beyond your current skill level. So even though I think this drawing turned out pretty well, I can't take full credit for that because Loomis has already did most of the heavy lifting for me in designing the form, the shading, the lines, and so forth. But by doing a study of his work, I not only learn a lot about the technique that he employs, but also it's incredibly fun and motivating to see that you are capable of drawing something that looks really good, and it inspires you to keep practicing and learning. So now most of the shadow mapping is done, and now I basically just need to come back in and increase the contrast. And for this I'm using a lead holder with a 2B lead. Now the reason I like to use this is because it can be sharpened to a very sharp tip, and the tip stays sharp for quite a while. If you don't have one of these, you can just use a regular pencil. Just make sure you sharpen it periodically, because with cross-hatching it's important to have a sharp pencil in order to get nice, crisp, clean lines. And when cross-hatching, you want to make sure to pay attention to the direction of the lines and use it strategically. You don't want to just cross-hatch in any direction you feel like it, because it can create a sort of chaotic look. And now I'm just coming back in with a darker, I think 4B or 5B pencil, and just darkening some of the line segments and creating more line weight variations. Okay, and we're all done. If you want to learn more about portrait drawing, check out my Portrait Fundamentals course. It's a very beginner-friendly course that walks you through all the basics of portraiture, from constructing a basic head, facial proportions, drawing the features, and finally drawing a realistic portrait step by step. You can learn more about it by going to mydrawingtutorials.com/portrait or clicking on the image on the screen. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy drawing.